Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Mount Zion podcast, and thank you so much for joining me for another in the series of No Longer Silent. I'm your host, Navita Milton Riley. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, where have you been? For those of you who are joining us for the second or the third time, whenever you hear this episode, we are so happy to have you. Today's episode will be, I think, a little bit on the lighter side. Our guest today is Sister Melanie Edwards. She's from the Pimento Walk Assembly in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. She will be sharing her story with us of how God brought her through a rather painful experience. I don't want to get into it too much because I want Sister Edwards to really share her story. So, Sister Edwards, welcome and thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So before we get into it, I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you became a part of the church.
Okay. I have been a part of the Mount Zion Sanctuary Assembly, Pimento Walk Assembly for since 2006.
Okay.
I actually used to attend New Testament Church of God. And for a period there, I started to hear, read, hear and read about the Sabbath. And I was kind of a bit confused because, to be quite honest, other than Seventh day Adventists, I didn't know at that time about any other Sabbath assemblies. I
Okay.
just thought it was a Seventh day assembly, Seventh day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading everything I was reading just had to do with Sabbath. And I was hearing about it. I'm saying, what is this? I'm just bombarded about this Sabbath thing. But I I told you I was going to that church. So I had a friend who was going to Seventh day Adventist
Mm-hmm.
in Runaway Bay. And they invited me. But so when I went to Sabbath and it was not to my taste because if you probably don't know anything about the New Testament church,
I do.
but the worship is the
Yes.
worship is sort of like ours, you
Yes.
know,
Very
vibrant
lively.
kind of
Yes.
very right. And if you go to an Adventist church, all they say is Happy Sabbath
Yes.
and they do what they're doing and it's just not my taste.
Uh-huh.
So when I went there, I was wondering, what is this? I just never understood what was going on. So I never went back, continued to go to my church, but I was, I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Brother Smith from my church, Brother Smith. He worked in Salem where I lived,
Okay.
and he used to come to my supermarket. And one of the time I invited him to customer appreciation was on a Saturday, and
Mm-hmm.
he informed me that he couldn't come because he was a Sabbath keeper. So when I heard about it, and me wanting to know more about the Sabbath, I asked him, "Which church
Yeah.
do you go?" And he explained to me. So I realized that it was not an Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
So he invited me, and I went to Pimento Walk, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It's
I
history.
became a part of the church.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that because I didn't know that you were coming from a first day church. So
Yeah.
that's actually something that I'm learning about you tonight. So you were telling me earlier of how you had an ectopic pregnancy and you actually lost it. So tell us a little bit more about that story. What was that like for you?
Okay. All right. So about 10 years ago, I found out that I was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
in my old age. Never thought I would have any other kids. I have a boy and I have a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly was not looking for that any at all.
Right.
But then when I found out that I was pregnant, I was shocked, shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not happy. I was not happy at all because I never planned to have any more.
Mm-hmm.
So when I told my husband, he was also not happy about the whole thing. And we were there, but we are what are we going to do? We just have to do what we have to do.
Right.
So I'm there, thinking about starting over again and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and to just try to make the best of the situation, both of us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that was basically my train of thought at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then one one night I was here at home and I felt a sharp pain. I felt a sharp pain in my belly area.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one sharp pain and it stopped and I said, wait, what is this? But it stopped like it wasn't even a minute.
Right.
It stopped. And when it stopped, I had an appointment to go to the doctor a little bit after that. So I went. So when I
Mm-hmm.
went, I just mentioned it to him, in passing that I felt a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he didn't like the sound of any kind of pain in early pregnancy.
Okay.
So he wanted me to do an ultrasound. So when I got the request from him, I went over because it's close in Oteria, so where my doctor was, it's close,
Okay.
walking distance. I just went over to the place
Mm-hmm.
and they gave me an appointment for a week after, the next Wednesday. So the next Wednesday I went and I did the ultrasound. And when I did ultrasound, the lady let me know that the baby was actually in my tube. And all the time I was a little, other than the sharp pain, the one
Mm-hmm.
time, I wasn't feeling any pain at all. So
Okay.
she told me that the baby was in my tube and I had to go to the doctor immediately. So I went back to the doctor immediately. And when I went, it's a very busy doctor, so you have to wait a bit. And when I went, I saw
Hello.
okay, so when I got the results from the ultrasound, the lady actually told me normally they just give you the they just give her the information in a sealed envelope to bring back to the doctor. But when she realized that I needed to see the doctor at that very same time, she actually
Mm-hmm.
told me because I've done more than one ultrasound, and
Mm-hmm.
I realized that's not the protocol. They don't normally just tell you like that.
Right. Right.
Right, they normally just tell you that come back for the results. Like the next day, you get the results sealed, you bring it to the doctor, and then the doctor will tell you what's on it. But she realized that my situation was,
Good.
critical.
Yeah.
She told me that I need to go to the doctor instantly. So I went. I went back to the doctor, and when I did, I didn't have an appointment or anything because it really wasn't my time yet. But I went,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went and I was waiting, I saw a friend of mine. So when it was an older lady. So I was telling her my problem, what was going on. And she was explaining, she was saying that she cannot understand because she knows that when people have ectopic pregnancies like the one that I had,
Mm-hmm.
because the baby is going in the tube and the baby is stretching the tube, I should be feeling a lot of pain.
Right.
And she doesn't understand why I wasn't feeling any pain at all. So that was the first of the miraculous experience because
Mm-hmm.
I should have been feeling a lot of pain because that is not the case. The baby should not have been there. And that cannot, like your stomach grows for the baby, the
Mm-hmm.
tube does not grow like that.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, when I went to the doctor told me that I had to do uh I had to go into the hospital at same day because he's going to have to take the baby the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go home, tell my husband, family, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to just pack and I had to so go to St. Anne's Bay.
All right.
So
Before you continue, so I realized that we didn't quite define what an ectopic pregnancy might be for those people who are listening. So it's basically where your baby is growing outside of your uterus. So it could be in the fallopian tube like yours was, or anywhere else outside of the uterus. And
womb,
so the
outside of the womb.
symptoms for it's a very critical condition. It's
Yes.
one that requires immediate medical attention, and some of the symptoms are like vaginal bleeding and dizziness and a lot of pain. And so that is why you are saying no, that this was a miracle, because this baby was growing inside of your fallopian tubes, but you weren't feeling all of that pain.
Yes, that is exactly the case.
Right.
And I didn't understand or know anything until the lady was explaining it to me. So
Mm-hmm.
when I went into the doctor, he told me the same thing, and he told me that I had to go into the hospital because I had to do the surgery the next day. So I went in, and the next day I still not feeling any pain at all. The
Mm-hmm.
next day I'm supposed to do the surgery, but what happened is that they have two operating rooms in St. Anne's Bay Hospital, but one was not working. So
Okay.
there was only one. So I went over to do the surgery, and when I went over to do the surgery, there was two C-sections that came in that had to be done before me. So I was there waiting outside for hours basically. I went up to the theater room and everything, but I was waiting outside because when I'm supposed to go in,
Mm-hmm.
another C-section came in, and so I had to wait. So
Wow.
when I waited, and because according to them, mine wouldn't have been as serious as those. But when I finally went in and I did the surgery and
Mm-hmm.
I came out, when I came out, what they normally do is that when you come out of the surgery, they allow you to stay in the theater until you wake up. So when in those days they actually put it to sleep. No, they don't, but in those days they put it to sleep. So when
Okay.
I woke up, I vomited. As soon as I woke up, I vomited. And remember, it's the first time this is happening to me, so I don't understand why. But
Mm-hmm.
when I went back to my bed and the doctor came, the doctor explained to me that what happened to me when he's saying that probably it was when I was on the bed waiting, my tube actually burst.
Wow.
My tube, yes, my tube actually burst. He said it's the first he's seen something like that. When he actually cut and went in, it was
Mm-hmm.
just all blood because the tube burst. And I was there on the bed and I felt nothing. I felt no pain at all. I even though
Oh.
I cannot understand, I felt no pain because it wasn't like I was even a bit of discomfort I did not feel. And
Mm-hmm.
when he was explaining to me, I told him that when I woke up, I vomited. He said probably that is because of the fact that when he went in, it was just all bloody because of what happened.
Oh my God.
And I could have died.
Yeah.
I could have died out there because that is a critical situation. And because I was feeling no pain, he didn't realize that it had gone so bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Went in, he said that I'm thankful. It's that it's a miracle basically that
Yes.
I was alive because of what happened. Being out there, those things are normally fatal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came out and when he told me, I had to just give God a lot of praise
Yeah.
because of what he brought me through that situation,
Mm-hmm.
through that, and I came through, oh my God, I came through smiling basically
Yes.
because of the whole experience. The whole experience was just, to me, the whole experience was just, I just had to just continue to praise God because I'm saying that
Yes.
God brought me through
You should
everything,
have
and
died.
yes, I could have died, and
Yeah.
I should have died.
Yes.
I should have died, but he brought me through, and I didn't even realize that I was in danger. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even realize. And when I after I was in the hospital about 2 days after, and to be quite honest, I wasn't sad about the baby. As I told you before,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want another baby. And if it didn't work out like it did, I would have had my baby. The baby would have been probably about 9 or 10 now. I would have been
Mm-hmm.
mommy to baby and everything. But I didn't really want another baby. And when it happened, I wasn't sad. I
Okay.
was not sad. I wasn't sad. So I was just thankful for everything that the Lord did for me, but I was I just continue to just worship and just to praise his holy name because he brought me through a fatal situation, and the whole procedure was just, what can I say, easy basically.
Okay. How far along were you when you found out that you had to do the surgery?
Was I 2 months? I think I was probably about in the 2 month bracket. I know it was either reach. Yeah, about 2 months. It
Okay.
was about 2 months.
Okay. And so having doing the surgery, would the baby have survived just being 2 months?
No,
Okay.
because when what he explained to me, that when he did what the surgery that he did, the baby was not gonna survive.
Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you knew before going into the surgery
Yes,
that,
yeah, he explained to me that yes, the baby was not gonna survive. So he told me that before I went in.
okay. All right. And I know you said that you didn't necessarily want another child, and so you weren't really grieving, so to speak. But how did you feel knowing that this was actually a life that was inside of you, and no, you know, it's not there anymore?
Okay, as I told you, I was just 2 months along.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that a lot of the times when we mothers, even when we get pregnant and we do not, we are shocked and we are dismayed. After a
Yes.
while, when the baby is there for a while and it's growing and everything, you start to have a relationship with your child, even in the belly,
Yes.
and you start to love the child and all
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't reach that stage.
Okay.
As I told you, it was just about 2 months. So I didn't really reach that stage. And I know that if the Lord had allowed me to not all of this to not happen and I had a baby, I would have had my child and I would have raised my child and I would be happy for my child. But
Of course.
that is not the case.
Right. Right. And so I believe that sometimes the Lord allows these situations to happen to us so that we have another testimony, so that our faith is stronger, so that we know that he can and he will. And so even though, as you said, you weren't really looking for another child, but I am certain that this testimony has made you so much stronger, because as you said before, you could have died and you should have died, and it was just something powerful that God did for you in your life. And I'm grateful that you came on and that you shared with us this evening, because we were talking before we came on here, and I was saying to you that I feel like there are so many other people who, in what they consider to be old age, they might have gotten pregnant and they're not so happy about it. And one of the things that I learned from your story is that it's okay not to feel that instant happiness, especially after you've had children before and you feel like you're at a stage now where you're finished. It's okay. But however way it turns out, God is still in the midst to take care of you. He's still there to just see you through it. And even if, as you said, the child had come to fruition and was born, you would have still loved your child. You would have still cherished your little one, and, just be happy. But I'm giving God thanks that you are still here. And so, just before we close out, I always read a little poem at the end, just to affirm and to reassure that whatever it is that we go through, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And this poem is called Miracle by Nikki Banas. And it says, "It's a beautiful miracle to be alive in this world. Our chances of being here are nearly zero, but here we are. So live the life you want to live. Dare to chase the impossible and make it become possible. Do the things you've always wanted to do. Be scared and nervous and unsure and do it anyways. Because why not? Why not go for your dreams in this miraculous world? Why not try to leave a lasting mark on the world for generations to come? Why not go for a life full of joy and magic and love? So, Sister Edwards, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you so much for sharing your story of triumph, of miracle, of how the Lord brought you through what could have been a very hard situation. You know, you could not have been here today, but here you are. And so I am grateful and I'm glad that you came on and that you shared. And for those of you out there who are listening, who might have felt the same way about a pregnancy, or perhaps you've gone through a miscarriage that was very devastating for you, Sister Edwards was reminding us tonight that God still is in the miracle working business, that he can still bring you through no matter how difficult your situation is. Thank you so much for joining us. And please continue
For
to
having
stay.
me.
You are welcome. It was so great to have you tonight. It was just a sweet little story. And I am so grateful that you were here. So
Okay, my dear.
thank you so much for coming
Man,
on.
I just want to say that the Lord was with me through the whole experience, and I
Uh-huh.
know that if it was His will, the baby would have been here. And
Yes.
by the fact that I was so dismayed in the beginning, I know that eventually, I would have,
Yes.
gone to love my child because I love
Yes.
the two that I have currently, and
Mhm.
it's just a large. We just have to allow him to work out things, and sometimes some things happen to us that we do not expect,
Yes.
but we have to just allow him to work it because if we just continue to leave it in his hand, he will
Mhm.
always bring us through.
He will. Amen. Indeed. And
Okay.
so, thank you guys for joining us again. Continue to stay with us for more episodes to come, more episodes of triumph, of miracle, of God just working things out for his people. I am your host, Navita Milton Riley. And until we meet each other again, God bless you.